Welcome, explorer. You didn't stumble here. You were meant to find this. And to those returning to the Gemstone Kingdom, welcome back. There are stones that shine. Throughout history, some of the world's rarest gemstones were nearly discarded like worthless rubble, found in dusty roadsides, traded for pennies in markets, even tossed aside by miners who thought they were nothing. But time has a cruel sense of humor, because many of those worthless stones now sell for tens of thousands, sometimes millions per carat. Some glow under moonlight, some shift colors as you turn them, and one gemstone was never meant to be seen by ordinary eyes. It was kept in palaces, carved into imperial seals, and locked behind layers of guards, myths, and silence for centuries. It doesn't glitter, it doesn't dazzle. However, a single necklace made from it sold for $27.4 million, without a single diamond or gram of gold. In the West, almost no one recognizes it, but in the East, it was once considered more precious than life itself. What is it? We'll get there. But first, let's trace the stories of 10 gemstones that were almost forgotten, almost ignored. You're watching Top 10 Rare Gemstones Almost Thrown Away. Stones the world forgot until their actual value was finally uncovered. We often think the rarest treasures lie buried deep, behind sealed tombs, beneath forgotten ruins. But sometimes, the truly precious things have been hiding in plain sight. Welcome to Top 10, Andalusite, the stone that hid in plain sight. We begin in the windswept hills of Andalusia, southern Spain, where this stone earned its name. But Andalusite isn't confined to Spain. You'll find it scattered like overlooked breadcrumbs across Brazil, Sri Lanka, Russia, Chile, and even the American Southwest. Miners and geologists walked over it for decades without a second thought. It didn't sparkle, glow, or scream for attention. So they tossed it aside, but that was before they looked closer and tilted it under the light. Because that's when Andalusite shows its secret. This is one of the rare stones in the world with strong pleochroism, which allows it to change color depending on the angle from which it is viewed. Look at it from one side. It's earthy green. Tilt it slightly and it flashes orange. Rotate it again. A streak of golden red appears like something inside the stone just woke up. In scientific terms, this isn't an illusion. It's due to how Andalusite absorbs different wavelengths of light along each crystal axis. In storytelling terms, it's a stone with three faces and one truth. The best deposits are mined in Minas Gerais, Brazil, where pegmatite and metamorphic rocks compress over millions of years to form long, lozenge-shaped crystals. In their natural state, Andalusite often grow in rough columnar prisms. Not unlike tiny roof tiles stacked inside the stone, these crystals are fragile, and they rarely grow large. This makes cutting Andalusite an actual test of a gem cutter's patience. One wrong tilt and you lose the fire. One imperfect facet and the colors go flat. Yet when done right, the result is mesmerizing. Not flamboyant, not flashy, but thoughtful, subtle, alive. Throughout history, Andalusite has worn many names and many misunderstandings. In medieval Europe, it was dismissed as impure tourmaline. In Asia, it was used as a stone of balance and clarity, often given to those recovering from mental trauma. It was found near ancient copper workings in Peru and Chile and mistaken for industrial scrap. Only recently has Andalusite begun to find its proper place in the gemstone world, not because it changed, but because we finally learned how to see it. And isn't that the case with all great things? We don't value them until we slow down enough to notice. In terms of jewelry, Andalusite is still a quiet contender. Most stones used are 1 to 3 carats. Very few factors specialize in it because it's hard to cut correctly. But those that do produce works of art. Prices vary. You can find modest pieces from $80 to $300 per carat, depending on the clarity and color shift. Exceptional stones with intense pleochroism and clean cuts can reach $500 to $800 per carat, though they rarely go beyond that. Not because they're not rare, but because most buyers still don't know what they're looking at. In my last visit to a private gem collection in São Paulo, I was shown a single 4-carat Andalusite. It looked like an autumn forest under glass, greens, reds, and bronzes dancing under a desk lamp. The collector looked at me and said, "It's the stone people only notice when they're ready for it." I haven't stopped thinking about that since. So here it is, the stone that kept quiet, that stayed humble, that never pretended to be anything it wasn't, but still held a secret for those willing to look from the right angle. This is Andalusite, the stone that hid in plain sight, and now that you've seen it, truly seen it, you'll never walk past it the same way again. It sat atop crowns. It gleamed from royal scepters. It was praised in ancient texts, worshipped by kings, and fought over in blood-soaked wars. But for centuries, no one knew its name. Welcome to Top 9, Spinel, the Great Impostor. We begin our story in Kuilal, Tajikistan, a remote mountainous region where empires once crossed and clashed. A blood-red gemstone, fiery, durable, magnificent, was unearthed in the high-altitude mines once controlled by Persian rulers. It was called Balas ruby, believed to be a cousin of the Burmese ruby. It adorned the crowns of Mughal emperors, Persian shahs, and European monarchs. But in truth, it wasn't ruby at all. For over 1,000 years, Spinel masqueraded as ruby, not by trickery, but by ignorance. Back then, gemology didn't exist as a science. Jewels were classified by color, not crystal. If it was red, it was a ruby. No one questioned it, until the 18th century when mineralogists began analyzing the stones more deeply. What they discovered shocked the crown-wearing world. Many of their rubies were spinel. Spinel forms in octahedral crystals, often sharp-edged and naturally symmetrical. It can occur in a dazzling range of colors, from red, pink, lavender, violet, and cobalt blue, to rare gray and black. The red variety, the one most often mistaken for ruby, owes its color to trace chromium elements, just like ruby. But unlike ruby, Spinel's crystal system is cubic, not trigonal. It has no birefringence. Its sparkle is clean, balanced, unconflicted. Today, Spinel is mined in several parts of the world, notably in Myanmar, Burma, Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Tanzania, and Tajikistan. Some of the finest cobalt blue spinels come from Luc Yen, Vietnam, while hot pink and orange pink specimens are sourced from Mahenge, Tanzania. Mining spinel isn't an industrial-scale operation. Many of these stones are found by hand, in alluvial deposits or small-scale open pits, with miners working with simple tools and sharp eyes. They know that when you spot a perfect octahedron with that deep glow, it might be one of the most valuable mistakes in gemstone history. Spinel is also remarkably durable, scoring 8 on the Mohs scale, just beneath sapphire and ruby. That makes it ideal for rings and heirloom jewelry, and yet, its market value lags far behind its gemological equals. Why? Because Spinel carries the weight of its history, centuries of being called the wrong name. But that tide is turning. In recent decades, collectors and designers have rediscovered Spinel's natural brilliance, rarity, and color range. No need for heat treatments, no enhancements. A fine spinel is a stone in its purest, most honest form, and the market is starting to notice. Today, top-quality red spinels can sell for $2,000 to $8,000 per carat, with exceptional pieces reaching over $10,000 per carat. Vivid pinks and cobalt blues from Vietnam and Mahenge can also command several thousand per carat, and rising. And remember that massive 170-carat Black Prince's ruby in the British Imperial Crown? That's not a ruby, it's spinel. So what does that tell us? That sometimes the stone wearing the wrong name isn't an impostor. It's a legend waiting to be rediscovered. This is Spinel, the Great Impostor, a gem that was never trying to deceive. We just never asked the right question. The truth is, not every legend is old. Some are still forming, beneath our feet, and one of them glows with the color of flame trapped inside ice. Welcome to Top 8, Tanzanite, the blue flame of Africa. The story begins not in ancient temples or lost empires, But in the late 1960s, on the foothills of Mount Kilimanjaro, in northern Tanzania, a group of Maasai herders discovered sparkling blue crystals protruding from the red earth after a brush fire scorched the land. At first, no one knew what they had found. Some thought it was sapphire, others iolite. But the truth was stranger. This was a new gemstone, never seen before, and found nowhere else on Earth. Soon after, a New York gemologist confirmed the identity, a variety of the mineral zoisite, uniquely colored by vanadium. But blue zoisite wasn't catchy enough. So Tiffany & Co. stepped in, giving it a name, a story, and the world its newest obsession: Tanzanite. In raw form, Tanzanite is a trichroic crystal, meaning it displays three distinct colors depending on the viewing angle: blue, violet, and burgundy. Most gem-grade Tanzanite is heat-treated to remove the brownish hue and bring forward that intense velvety blue, often with a purple undertone. But under the proper lighting, it still flickers, like a candle under sapphire glass. Tanzanite is mined in a particular zone, a narrow strip of land just 4.3 miles long, near the town of Marilani in Tanzania. Nowhere else in the world produces natural Tanzanite. Nowhere. And mining it is not for the faint of heart. The shafts can plunge hundreds of meters deep, with miners navigating cramped tunnels in extreme heat. Much of the mining is still done by hand. As deposits grow deeper, costs rise and supply tightens. Geologists estimate that Tanzanite may be exhausted within 1 to 2 decades. That makes it one of the few gemstones in the world with a known expiration date. Regarding form, Tanzanite typically grows in elongated prismatic crystals with well-defined striations. It's relatively soft compared to sapphire, about 6.5 on the Mohs scale, meaning it must be set carefully in jewelry. But its color, no stone offers that same blue, violet, and soul balance. On the market, Tanzanite remains vastly undervalued, a hidden giant. Mid-range stones sell for $300 to $800 per carat, while high-end specimens over 5 carats, with vivid color and no visible inclusions, can fetch $1,500 to $1,750 per carat or more. Collectors prize large, unheated Tanzanite crystals over 10 carats, and prices have quietly doubled in the last decade. In 2002, the American Gem Trade Association named Tanzanite the birthstone for December, giving it a place among the ranks of gems with far longer histories: ruby, emerald, diamond. And yet, none of them burn with this kind of blue. On my last visit to Arusha, I met a local dealer who said, "Diamonds are forever, but Tanzanite, once it's gone forever." He wasn't talking about inventory. He was talking about Earth itself. So here it is, a flame born in Africa, flickering between past and future. This is Tanzanite, the blue flame of Africa, discovered by chance, mined by hand, and cherished by those who understand. That beauty is not just in color, but in the window it opens between worlds. Sometimes the most significant brilliance lies in the smallest flame. For centuries, jewelers chased diamonds for their fire, but there is a stone, rarer, greener, and in the right light, it burns even brighter. Welcome to Top 7 Demantoid Garnet, the garnet that outsparkled diamonds. We begin our journey in the Ural Mountains of Russia in the mid-1800s. A miner chipping through serpentine rock discovered a green crystal unlike anything seen before, too fiery to be peridot, too vivid to be emerald, and impossible to ignore. When light passed through it, something unusual happened. The stone didn't just glow, it fractured the light into rainbows, like a flame shattering into color. It was named Demantoid, from the French demande, meaning diamond-like, for its exceptional dispersion, or what jewelers call fire. Technically, it's a variety of Andalusite garnet, colored green by traces of chromium and iron. But in every way that matters, it stood apart, rarer than diamond, more complex than emerald, and for a time, even more fashionable. During the late 19th century, Russian nobility and European royalty began to demand Demantoid for their finest pieces. Peter Carl Fabergé, famed for his imperial eggs, used Demantoid garnets in elaborate designs for the czars, from animal eyes to enameled foliage. But then came the war and revolution. The Ural mines were abandoned and Demantoid all but vanished from the world stage. Today, Demantoid garnets are found in a handful of places: the original Ural Mountains, the dry grasslands of Namibia, the mountains of Iran, and minor occurrences in Italy and Madagascar. But even now, supply is minimal. Most Demantoid crystals are tiny. Stones over 1 carat are uncommon. Over 2 carats? Rare. Over 5 carats with no visible inclusions? That's the stuff of museums. Demantoid garnet typically forms in fibrous or radiating clusters embedded in metamorphic rocks like serpentinite and skarn. The best specimens from Russia feature something extra: a rare natural inclusion called the horsetail, fine golden threads of chrysotile, splaying outward from a central point like a firework frozen in time. Counterintuitively, this inclusion is not a flaw. It's a signature, a mark of authenticity, a geological fingerprint that says, this is Russian Demantoid. On the Mohs hardness scale, it sits at 6.5 to 7, softer than sapphire but hard enough for most jewelry settings. It's cut in ways that maximize dispersion: round brilliance, cushions, and sometimes antique cuts for collectors. In direct light, it can outfire any diamond of equal size, but it doesn't try to imitate. It elevates. Prices? Commercial-grade Demantoid can sell for $1,000 to $3,000 per carat, but Russian stones with horsetail inclusions and rich color reach $5,000 to $10,000 per carat. Top-tier pieces over 3 carats are sold privately, often for undisclosed prices, because their value is known only to those who understand what it means for a green garnet to burn brighter than fire. I once visited a private estate in Geneva where a Demantoid brooch sat beneath glass. No label, no brand, just light, bending, flickering, defying the rules. The collector said only one sentence: "You can't explain it, you have to let it speak." And it did. This is Demantoid garnet, the garnet that outsparkled diamonds. Born of pressure, forgotten by war, and glowing still for those who know how to look beyond the obvious. Some stones shimmer, some reflect, but this one burns, not with heat, but with light trapped inside the darkness. Welcome to Top 6 Black Opal, the Shadow Fire. The search for Black Opal takes us to a place where maps once ended: the Lightning Ridge of New South Wales, Australia. It's not a ridge, it's not even particularly bright. It's a barren stretch of red soil where dust coats your teeth and the silence feels like it's watching you. But buried beneath this dry, cracked land are stones that contain storms. Black opal is not just any opal. It's the rarest, the most volatile, and the most coveted. While common opal appears milky or translucent, black opal forms with a dark body tone, usually charcoal, slate, or jet black. Against that backdrop, its interplay of color ignites. Bright flashes of electric blue, neon green, blood red, and fiery orange, like lightning streaking across midnight skies. And that's not a poetic description, that's geological fact. Opals are made of microscopic silica spheres, stacked in precise formations. The size and arrangement of these spheres diffract light, creating spectral color. In black opal, the contrast is sharper. The colors are deeper. They don't just glow, they erupt. Black opal is found almost exclusively at Lightning Ridge. There are other dark opals, from Ethiopia, Honduras, and Nevada, but none compare. The ridge produces opals with harlequin patterns, rolling flashes, and multidirectional fire. Features so rare that even seasoned gemologists stop talking when one appears. Mining here isn't glamorous. Narrow shafts, hand-dug tunnels, miners lie flat with shovels and headlamps, scraping through ancient clay seams. The stone doesn't announce itself. It waits. The only clue is often a subtle shimmer in gray earth, a whisper, not a shout. Most black opals found are small, under 5 carats. Fewer still have full-face color, symmetry, and structural integrity. Those that do become legends. The most famous is the Aurora Australis, unearthed in 1938. 180 carats of red, green, and blue lightning. Today, it's valued at over 1 million Australian dollars, and it's not alone. Top-tier black opal can sell for $5,000 to $15,000 per carat, depending on brightness, pattern, and body tone. Exceptional stones can exceed $20,000 plus per carat, higher than many diamonds of the same size. But value aside, black opal carries something else, a reputation. In Aboriginal lore, it was formed when a rainbow touched the earth. In gem folklore, it was once thought cursed, too wild, unstable, and difficult to control. And in a way, they were right. Opals are porous. They can crack, craze, or cloud if mishandled. They are beautiful, but temperamental, much like fire itself. I once stood in a miner's shack, miles from paved roads. He held out a small velvet pouch. Inside, a 3-carat black opal with red-on-black flash. He didn't say a word. I just turned it in the light. It didn't blink. It burned. This is black opal, the shadow fire, a stone forged by time, carved by silence, and lit from within by something that doesn't want to be explained, only seen. In the world of gemstones, rarity is often exaggerated. But what if I told you there's a stone 1,000 times rarer than a diamond? So rare that most gem dealers have never even held one. Welcome to Top 5 Red Beryl, the 1 in a million ruby. Our story begins not in an ancient empire, but in the deserts of Utah, in the remote Wawa Mountains. Wind-blasted, empty, forgotten. A place you pass through, not into. But beneath this dry volcanic terrain lies a geological miracle. A red crystal so rare that miners used to throw it away, thinking it was worthless garnet. Discovered in 1904, this deep red crystal was first mistaken for beryl gone wrong. After all, beryl is known for emerald and aquamarine, green and blue. Red? That didn't make sense. But the truth was undeniable. This wasn't an accident. It was a distinct species, a new miracle. Scientists named it Bixbyte. Today we call it red beryl. Red beryl forms only under extreme and specific conditions: low pressure, high temperature, volcanic gas pockets rich in beryllium and manganese, solidified inside topaz-bearing rhyolite. So far, only one location on Earth has produced gem-quality crystals in any meaningful quantity, the Ruby Violet mine in Utah. And even there, it's brutally rare. To give you perspective, for every 150,000 diamonds found, only one red beryl of similar quality is discovered. Most crystals are under 0.5 carats, often too small or flawed to cut. Finding a stone over 1 carat, clean enough for jewelry, is like catching lightning in a bottle. When properly faceted, red beryl shows a vivid raspberry to cherry red hue with brilliant internal fire. It crystallizes in hexagonal prisms, often with vertical striations. Unlike ruby, which is typically opaque or silky, red beryl can be surprisingly transparent, and its brilliance rivals Spinel and Garnet. Its hardness falls around 7.5 to 8 on the Mohs scale, tough enough for daily wear, but still fragile in the wrong hands. And yet, that hasn't stopped collectors from chasing it. On the open market, small red beryl stones under 1 carat can range from $2,000 to $7,000 per carat. But clean, vivid red stones over 1 carat? They sell for $10,000 to $50,000 per carat, with exceptional pieces exceeding $100,000. That's more than most rubies, more than sapphires, sometimes more than emeralds. And the supply is vanishing. The Utah mine operates intermittently, and output has dropped drastically in the last 2 decades. Once the pockets are gone, there's no backup, no second source in Africa, no lab-grown alternative that captures the same complexity. I once visited a private vault in Los Angeles, a gemstone museum closed to the public. The curator unlocked a drawer, lifted a glass case, and placed it into my hand. A 2.3 carat red beryl. It looked like a molten sunset, crystallized mid-breath. And the room went silent. Red beryl isn't just rare. It's the gemstone equivalent of a perfect storm, a geological anomaly misunderstood for decades, and now nearly gone. This is red beryl, the one in a million ruby, not just a jewel, a survivor, a secret the earth whispered once, and may never whisper again. Some stones whisper, some sparkle, but this one, it glows, like electricity trapped in crystal. Welcome to Top 4, Paraíba Tourmaline, the neon mistake. Our story begins in 1989 in the hills of Paraíba, a quiet, mineral-rich state in northeastern Brazil. The mine was almost out of money. Miners had been digging for 7 years straight and found nothing. No one believed there was anything left to discover. And then, it happened. In one of the final exploratory shafts, they struck a vein of color so vibrant and unnatural-looking that many thought it was artificial glass or treated quartz. The color wasn't blue, it was neon blue, the glow you'd expect from lasers or tropical fish, not buried rock. At first, the gems were dismissed. Buyers assumed they were fakes. Even seasoned dealers called them too bright to be real. But scientific testing proved otherwise. This was tourmaline, but not like any tourmaline the world had ever seen. What made it different? Copper. Paraíba tourmalines contain trace amounts of copper and manganese, a rare combination that gives them their unmistakable glow. Technically, it's called Cuprian elbate tourmaline, but most people call it what it is: unreal. These gems form in pegmatites, coarse igneous rocks deep underground, where fluids rich in rare elements push through cracks and chambers for thousands of years. When conditions align perfectly, copper fuses with tourmaline's crystal structure, and the result is light itself, frozen in stone. Mining Paraíba tourmaline isn't industrial, it's delicate and surgical. Most crystals are small, under 1 carat, and the original mine in Paraíba is now almost completely depleted. Other deposits with similar chemistry have since been found, in Mozambique and Nigeria, but top gemologists agree nothing matches the original Brazilian stones for saturation and fire, and the market reflects that. Prices for Brazilian Paraíba tourmalines can reach $20,000 to $100,000 per carat, depending on color and clarity. Mozambique material ranges from $2,000 to $15,000 per carat, which is still incredibly high for tourmaline, a gem once considered semi-precious. The irony? It's more expensive than most rubies, sapphires, even some diamonds. The most famous examples, like the 191-carat ethos stone or the 1.8-carat round Brazilian Paraíba sold at Christie's for over $100,000 per carat, are now housed in private vaults or museum collections. Not because of size, but because of light. Paraíba tourmaline doesn't just catch the light, it radiates it, even in shadow. Under the microscope, it dances, and in person, it doesn't feel like a gemstone. It feels like something that shouldn't exist. I once saw a 3-carat Brazilian Paraíba set in a plain platinum ring. No diamonds, no accents, just that one impossible blue. I stared for a full minute before speaking, and all I could say was, this shouldn't be real. This is Paraíba tourmaline, the neon mistake, the stone no one believed until it changed the rules. Once discarded as too bright, now among the rarest, most valuable, most sought-after gems on Earth. And like lightning, it doesn't strike twice. Some stones sparkle, some shimmer, but only one changes its identity, not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Welcome to Top 3, Alexandrite, the Chameleon stone. The year was 1830. A group of miners in the Ural Mountains of Russia discovered a strange green crystal while searching for emeralds. At first glance, it looked familiar, perhaps a darker emerald or a weirdly tinted garnet. But that night under candlelight, something impossible happened. The stone had turned red. They thought it was a trick of the eye, until they tried it repeatedly. In daylight, rich, forest green. Under incandescent or flame light, deep raspberry red. A stone that changed color depending on the light source. And so they named it after the young heir to the Russian throne, Alexander II. It was regal, rare, and politically perfect. But this was no simple optical illusion. Alexandrite belongs to the chrysoberyl family, and its color change is caused by a unique interaction between chromium impurities and how it absorbs light. It absorbs more green in natural light and more red under artificial light, a shift so dramatic it's become the benchmark for what gemologists call the Alexandrite effect. True Alexandrite is extremely rare. The original mines in the Urals have been depleted for a long time. Today, small quantities are found in Sri Lanka, Brazil, Tanzania, Madagascar, and occasionally in India and Zimbabwe. But most of what's sold as Alexandrite on the market, synthetic, simulated, or wishful thinking. Gem-quality Alexandrite over 1 carat is scarce. Over 2 carats with substantial clean color change? That's auction territory. Cutting Alexandrite is an art form in itself. Cut it wrong, and the color change fades. Cut it right, and you get a gem that seems to breathe with light. From one angle, you see a noble green. Shift slightly, and it flushes red like embers in twilight. On the Mohs scale, it sits at 8.5. Tougher than emerald, close to sapphire, making it suitable for all types of fine jewelry. But it's rarely worn for show. For those who know what it is, it's worn as a mark of identity. Prices, even small stones, under 1 carat, can range from $5,000 to $15,000 per carat if they exhibit substantial change. Stones above 2 carats with vivid green to red shift can sell for $50,000 plus, even over $100,000 per carat at auction. One Alexandrite sold at Christie's, 21 carats, fetched nearly $1.5 million. But beyond its price, Alexandrite has something else, a presence. It's been called the emerald by day, ruby by night, a stone of transformation used in mystic traditions as a symbol of duality, intuition, and self-reinvention. Some say it chooses its owner, and not vice versa. I once saw a flawless Russian Alexandrite, 3.2 carats, in a quiet corner of a museum in Geneva. No crowd, no spotlight, but when I moved ever so slightly to the side, the stone turned red, and I swear, it felt like something in the room had just shifted. This is Alexandrite, the chameleon stone, rare not just in material, but in meaning, a gem that doesn't imitate, it evolves, and for those who carry it, so must they. Some stones reflect light, stones that bend light, but this one feels like it was carved from light itself, from oceans that never existed, in colors we can barely name. Welcome to Top 2, Grandidierite, the sea trapped in stone. Our journey takes us to the coastal cliffs of southern Madagascar near Fort Dauphin, where dense rainforest meets the Indian Ocean. In 1902, French explorer Alfred Grandidier, while surveying minerals and wildlife, encountered a stone that defied Earth's known color palette. It wasn't blue, it wasn't green. It was both. A shifting, aquatic teal, like tropical shallows viewed through glass, as if the ocean had been condensed, pressurized, and sealed in crystal form. Scientists named the stone Grandidierite in his honor. And then, almost nothing was found for nearly a century. The mineral was so rare that many doubted its existence outside museum specimens. Most pieces were opaque, mottled, unusable in jewelry. But then, in 2014, a new deposit was discovered, again in Madagascar, this time revealing transparent, faceable material. The gem world took notice, and instantly, so did the collectors. Grandidierite forms in pegmatites and metamorphic rocks, under high pressure and low oxygen. Perfect conditions for trace amounts of iron and magnesium to enter the crystal lattice, giving it that trademark sea glass color. Crystallographically, it's orthorhombic and strongly pleochroic, meaning it shows multiple colors from different angles: blue, green, and pale yellow. Gem cutters must orient the stone perfectly to bring out the right balance of hues. 1 degree off, and the sea vanishes. That's what makes faceted Grandidierite so rare. Most of it can't be cut at all. Less than a few hundred transparent specimens over 1 carat have been recorded. The average is under zero point 0.5 carats, often included, brittle, or both. But when all factors align, the result is mesmerizing. Prices? Low-grade translucent Grandidierite can sell for $50 to $500 per carat, but that's not what we're here for. Top-quality, transparent, vivid bluish-green Grandidierite from Madagascar can reach $15,000 to $30,000 per carat, with museum pieces rumored to have sold for even more. That puts it in the same league as Alexandrite and red beryl, far rarer in cuttable form. In terms of hardness, it ranks about 7.5 on the Mohs scale, similar to Tourmaline. Durable enough for jewelry, but rarely seen in rings, not because it's weak, but because who dares wear the C on their hand? I once visited a private collector in Singapore. He handed me a 2.1 carat Grandidierite in a glass vial. Unmounted, untreated, flawless. I held it to the window. The light passed through, and for a moment, it wasn't a gemstone, it was memory, of waves, wind, and deep breath held just beneath the surface. This is Grandidierite, the sea trapped in stone. A gem is so rare and ghost-like that the earth seems to produce it only in whispers. It's not meant to dazzle, it's meant to remind you that beauty can be quiet and still take your breath away. We've seen stones forged in fire, born from stars and hidden for centuries beneath earth and ice. But now, we arrive at the one gem that never begged for awe, because it has always commanded it. A stone not judged by brilliance, but by silence. Not admired for what it reflects, but for what it remembers. For emperors, it was not jewelry, it was destiny. For nations, it is not a trade, but a symbol of eternity. And for those who've seen it with their own eyes, even diamonds lose their voice. This is not the most expensive stone by accident. It is the most honored by time, culture, and blood. The only stone that was once forbidden to wear, unless you ruled. Top 1 Gemstone documentary script. Jadeite, the stone of emperors. There are precious stones. There are rare stones. And then there is Jadeite, ranked number 1 on our list. Jadeite is the most expensive gemstone ever sold at auction and one of the most culturally revered. It is not simply worn but inherited, guarded, and worshipped. Our story begins in northern Myanmar, deep in the remote jungle terrain of Hapakant. These hills are treacherous, laced with landslides, and drenched in monsoon rains. But hidden beneath this unforgiving earth lies the most coveted variety of jadeite, what experts call imperial jade. Unlike the more common nephrite jade, jadeite is denser, more challenging, and capable of producing vivid, translucent colors, most famously, a glowing emerald-like green. This rare hue from chromium infuses the crystal structure during formation. Under the right light, a high-quality piece of jadeite, illuminated by an inner spirit, seems to glow from within. Jadeite does not form in abundance. Even in Hpakant, 99% of the material extracted is considered commercial grade or lower. Only a tiny fraction possesses the correct color saturation, translucency, and structure to be classified as gem quality, let alone imperial. In Chinese culture, jade has symbolized purity, integrity, and moral strength for over 8,000 years. Confucius once wrote that jade embodies the virtues of a true gentleman, strong but graceful, bright but not flashy. Jadeite was reserved for emperors, nobles, and religious leaders for centuries. It adorned royal seals, ceremonial blades, and burial suits. In the Qing dynasty, death was the penalty for owning imperial-grade jadeite without imperial permission. Jadeite's appeal is not limited to its appearance. Collectors value its smooth texture, high polish, and near-ceramic toughness. It ranks about 6.5 to 7 on the Mohs hardness scale, but can withstand more pressure than many harder gems due to its interlocking crystal structure. This combination of beauty, history, and resilience sets it apart. Today, high-quality jadeite continues to command astronomical prices. The most famous sale occurred in 2014 at Sotheby's, Hong Kong, where the Hutton Madavani necklace, composed of 27 vivid green jadeite beads, sold for $27.4 million. Each bead was carefully carved from a single rough stone, matched in color and translucency, a feat that may never be replicated. Jadeite jewelry of exceptional quality now serves as an ultra-elite investment vehicle across Asia. In cities like Hong Kong, Beijing, and Taipei, jadeite auctions attract billionaire collectors, and private vaults house stones worth more than diamonds. The market is highly opaque. Because jadeite is often sold through private dealers and family holdings, prices are influenced by cultural sentiment, rarity, and secrecy. Two stones of nearly identical appearance may sell for wildly different sums based solely on provenance and unrecorded histories. Yet for those who genuinely understand jadeite, its value lies not in price, but in meaning. It is believed to bring peace, longevity, and protection from harm. In spiritual traditions, jadeite is said to absorb the energy of its wearer, becoming a mirror of their soul. A master carver in Mandalay once described jadeite as not stone, but a memory frozen in time. He said, "You don't own jade. You borrow it from the ancestors. You hold it for the next generation." This is jadeite, the stone of emperors. It is the final gem in our journey, the rarest, most honored, and most eternal. It does not sparkle for attention. It does not compete for light. Thank you for watching all the way through. If this video gave you even one moment of wonder, a comment or a simple subscription would mean the world to us. It keeps this channel alive and gives us the fuel to keep digging. Because next time, we're going deeper, not just into stone, into a forgotten tomb buried beneath the desert, untouched for centuries and sealed with something far more valuable than gold. If you thought gemstones were mysterious, please wait until you see what was buried with them. Hit that bell so you don't miss it. We'll see you beneath the surface.